So in Matthew 21, right, it connects to the chastising of the moneylenders. It connects to the divine order, right? The moneylenders aren't supposed to be doing what they're doing, but Christ is supposed to be given his rightful place. That's the argument being made. We then get to the part where Jesus curses a fig tree. Now you had Zacchaeus, the tax collector, in the fig tree, and he wanted to repent, right? And we see in the Bible that the figs stand for fortresses. The figs leaves were used as clothes in the Garden of Eden. It stands for acts. It stands for ways and paths and angels. It stands for a collective group, a formation of people forming for a certain cause and a certain spirit. Okay, and you see that there was a snake. Oh wow, these dogs are fighting here. There was a snake in the tree in the Garden of Eden, right? So you had Zacchaeus in the tree, and he was a tax collector, right? And they say you can't serve God and money. So money was this kind of negative force, and it is a negative force that's being used to cheat people, right? And of course there's ways to use money in a way that's responsible and on the up and up and so on and so forth. So as you consider what the fig tree means, right, it connects to the idea of a family tree. It connects to the idea of the tree of life, righteousness, right? In the way of righteousness there's life. Along that path is immortality, right? Proverbs 12:28. So this is the tree of immortality, right? The tree of life, the tree of righteousness, the tree of focused moral intensity, right? Righteousness, as it gets better, gets more intense, a more intense experience, a more intense conveyance, a more intense righteous martial arts strike, right? So the path of the righteous is like the morning sun shining ever brighter to the full light of day. Whether it's standing before God with his warrior intense righteousness resonating, whether it's a righteous strike, okay, it's more intense, right? It shines ever brighter, this like the sun, which in Psalm 19, and I often bring this up because it's very key, is the symbol of the bridegroom and the champion, right? The champion. So then at some point we get to the parable of the two sons, right? One of them said he wasn't going to do what his father wanted and went and did it, and one said he was and didn't. So all these people are playing God lip service. They're not doing God's work. See, people actually doing God's work are doing God's work. It's the whole point of that parable, just like the bags of gold, the 10 minas, okay, the wise and foolish builders, the wedding banquet. That leads us to the parable of the tenants, where it says, last of all, he sent his son. And they said, well, this is the heir, right? This is the heir to the throne. And they took him outside the vineyard, like society is denying me my rightful place and screening me out. And so they've taken me outside of the process of cultivating the vineyard or kind of managing the vineyard so that people do God's work. And so we see the established churches, the established institutions that refuse to do what is just. And what is just is very obvious. You see it in Paul's letters where he says the work of righteousness is obvious. It's straightforward. And so we see that, that they had flogged and abused and killed the people who were trying to reason with them. In Isaiah 57, it says the righteous are taken away to be spared from evil. So as time goes on, people get more evil and more evil. That's why I saw a video the other day where it said that something like 47% of females do not want to have children. Now, why don't they want to have children? Because the world is evil. So it's 47% of females, or whatever the number is, that understand that it's stupid to have children. And they have the 53%, or whatever the number is, that is brainwashed by Babylon's system. Now, just because they're smart enough to know that it's stupid to have children doesn't mean they're smart enough to know that there's a divine martial art order. Okay, and the nature of the devil is he hides things in plain view, right? There's Ip Man, he's not monotheistic, right? Bruce Lee was agnostic, right? Van Damme, he's a false idol, he's not a very serious guy, he's not a moral guy. His characters aren't divine. You have MMA and you have Olympic sparring, and Olympic is a pagan thing, right? Mount Olympus, Zeus, who was the main enemy of God in the Bible in his form Baal, and Zeus changed his form in Greco-Roman mythology. So just because they're smart enough to know that they shouldn't have kids doesn't mean they are smart enough to see all the signs. That's why it's a moral order. And from the mouth of the righteous comes from the fruit of wisdom. So the more righteous someone is, the more wisdom is coming from them. And that's why I'm able to see through it, because I'm cultivating extreme righteousness on the highest level as the top martial artist ever possible. And so I'm able to have a certain falcon vision that allows me to deduce things in a way that others don't. And so my path and my ways, right, you know them by their fruit. My decisions give that away.